Welcome to the Living Superhuman Fitness Podcast, where we take you inside our gym, CrossFit Palm Beach, each week. It's here that we are creating new superhumans every day, transforming people's lives, helping them reach a level of health they never knew possible. We strive to answer your most burning questions on fitness, health, nutrition, training, motivation, mindset, lifestyle, and more. If you have a question, please email us at info@crossfitpalmbeach.com. You can also learn more on our blog, livingsuperhuman.com. And if you have a moment, we'd love a review from you on iTunes. All right, it's time. Let's stop being average and start living superhuman. All right, guys, welcome to the Living Superhuman Fitness Podcast. My name is Andrew Frezza, and I'm joined today by...
Mugs. Invite your microphone, Mugs. Whitney Stevenson.
Tony Frezza. And today we're going to be talking about, am I in a slump or am I just hitting a plateau? And this was a question that we received from one of our members, Melissa Dixon. So thank you, Melissa, for submitting this question. I think that's the first question that we've actually had submitted, so I appreciate you guys submitting questions. If you have any topics you want us to hit on the podcast, just shoot one of us an email, let us know in class, and we love to talk about and address your question. So plateaus. Typically we see plateaus mainly in like the 1 to 2 year mark with CrossFit. A lot of us, when we first start CrossFit, we just see results pretty much right off the bat. Maybe it takes a couple weeks and then we start seeing results, and it seems like, you know, we deadlift one day and then we don't do it for 8 weeks, and we come back to deadlifts and we added 20 pounds to our max. And that progress it tends to be pretty fast. It's not true across the board, but for most people, it's pretty fast at first. And then somewhere between, you know, around a year, maybe it's a little bit further to 2 years, that progress begins to slow down. And it starts to feel like a plateau. We start to feel like we're not getting better at all. So who wants to kick it off? What do you guys have thoughts on plateaus? What are some things that you're seeing?
I think just kind of knowing that a plateau is going to come, you know, is the first step. If it sneaks up on you and you don't realize what it is, it's going to suck, and you're going to, you know, wonder what's wrong with you. But you have to realize that your trajectory of being a good athlete or a great athlete, it's not just a straight line up to the sky. It's this wavy up and down to get to where you want to be. And there's pretty much a law of diminishing returns in everything we do, right? The inputs aren't always going to equal the outputs. And at a certain time, after we keep doing the inputs, you know, putting in the work, those outputs aren't going to be as great as they once were. So you have to realize that it's not going to always equal up, but you know, you'll get back to that higher trajectory as you go.
Yeah, I think just knowing that a plateau or a slump, I guess a plateau could lead to a slump, is something that is, if you look at it and understand it and look at what you're doing about it, can actually make you better versus just getting angry at it and doing the same thing over and over again and not looking at really like what's going on. Like, for example, for me, I feel like I could hit a plateau very easily just ignoring recovery from CrossFit, ignoring whatever I'm supposed to do outside of the gym and just keep warming up properly, doing everything, you know, I'm supposed to do in the gym, but not doing what I need to do out of the gym, getting body work, going to the chiropractor, all the other stuff that involves what I'm doing for training. But that could put me in a plateau super easily, like, because I'm not taking care of my body. So if I was at a plateau and I'm doing everything right in the gym, but I'm doing nothing outside of that, I have to look at that and go, okay, like, this is an area I can improve. This is an area I can like put some effort into it, not necessarily change what I'm doing in the gym, just put a little bit more focus on this, and then all of a sudden I'm coming out of that plateau. I'm seeing a different result.
Yeah, I think like when we're talking about just kind of defining the two, like a slump to me is like you're not really doing the right things. Like something needs to change, something major needs to change, and if you keep doing what you're doing, you're gonna stay in that slump forever. Whereas a plateau is like you're probably doing mostly the right things, and you are still moving forward. It's just not quite showing in the results right now. So plateau is like almost like keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, find maybe one or two things to tweak and improve, but let's keep doing that because it's just a matter of time before you start to see those PRs again. Whereas a slump is like, all right, let's change some stuff.
I mean, I agree with that definitely. Just just as far as long as, like you said, you're putting in the extra work, the extra effort. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, because in the beginning I was super into it and like super strong, and it was 20 and 30 and 40 pound PRs, especially with like my back squats and stuff like that, and it was super exciting. And then slowly but surely, like, I was really strong and I was still getting stronger, but like they kept getting smaller and smaller. And it's very easy to get frustrated with it, but you do have to understand, you do have to put in the work for the outcome, but it's just getting past that point of the frustration, knowing what you need to be doing it, and then working through it. And then you will see some other PR, whether it's the weightlifting or your mile run or something, everything that you're working on, you'll see different little PRs here and there that just might not be as big.
Yeah, I think that's really important to note, because even in Melissa's question when submitted, she said, I'm still making subtle gains. And I think one of the mindset shifts that need to be made around that 1 year mark is any progress is progress. And it's great, because yes, it wasn't a 30-pound PR, but really if you're making any PRs, you're actually not in a plateau. You're still moving forward. You still have that increasing trajectory. So there are true plateaus where there are no progress, and there might even be kind of that roller coaster where you have a little dip in a given benchmark workout that you don't do as well. And that can be even more difficult to deal with. But I would say if you're one of those people that's still seeing gains, don't even look at it as a plateau. Look at it as like, I'm still improving. This is amazing. This is still working, and I'm 1 to 2 years in. Or if you're Mike Anthony or Steve Walker, you're 1,000 workouts in and you're still improving on a day-to-day basis. To me, that's amazing.
Yeah, I feel like also sometimes like the better you become at whatever sport you're doing, like the more likely you're gonna reach a plateau and be there for a little bit. For me, when I was swimming, the end of my career there were long plateaus that I was fighting through. But that was the nature of the sport. Like, I had to kind of have a change of mind about my races, because I would race and I'd be beat down from training. I can't say this again because somebody's going to kick me out of it.
You have to say it now.
But I'm going to say no. So when we would train, we would let our leg hair grow out just to create drag. So it creates resistance in the water. So we'd have races where you're not wearing your race suit, you're beat down from training, you have a long leg hair.
It's like a weight vest.
Exactly. And you're like expected to go and step up, and you're still expected to race, and you still get a result, and you're instinctively comparing it to your best time ever, and like, wow, like I'm way slower than I was 7 months ago when I raced the same race, but it was in a totally different environment. So you kind of have to take in, all right, this was the fastest I ever went with my leg hair 5 inches long, or whatever it was. For an example here, it would be like you're doing a benchmark workout, and maybe you did a competition the week before, and you do the benchmark workout and you do slower than you did. Well, you have to take into account, like, you just did a competition, your nervous system could be a little shot, and maybe you did have a small win in that like non-PR benchmark workout, and it was learning that you could string together your hang cleans differently, or you could pace it differently. Like, trying to figure out and celebrate those small wins is going to help you kind of like not feel stuck in that plateau, and to kind of like move on from just comparing yourself to old PRs.
Yeah, I think it's cool to have in any given workout, have a goal that's not related to the end result, and something that you can control. Something that, like, I'm gonna do 5 hang cleans, I'm gonna take 1 breath, and I'm gonna pick it back up. No matter what the workout feels like, no matter how tired I'm gonna get, I'm only gonna do 1 breath and I'm gonna pick it back up. Like, that's something you can control no matter how hard that workout gets. And you can celebrate that at the end, even if the end result maybe wasn't exactly what you wanted to be. It wasn't better than your best ever effort, because you may not be coming into it as fresh and peaking for that day the way you did in a previous time.
You have to remember too, like, if you just kept adding like 10 pounds to your back squat every single month, like, where would you be in 2 years? 500 pounds? Like, no.
5,000 pounds.
At a certain point, it should level off, unless you're like just ridiculous superhuman size. And I remember in high school we had in weightlifting class, our grade was our bench press. And so it was something like that, where like every 2 to 3 weeks, our bench press had to go up 10 pounds. So what we all did at the beginning of the semester was, our max bench press was 50 pounds lighter than what it really was, because nobody is going to go up at that rate consistently over a whole semester. And even the coach knew that. He kind of told us, like, hint, hint, like, go a little lower than you typically would in your max. Knowing that you're not going to add this much weight throughout the course of the semester, it's going to level off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think from a mental standpoint, when you hit that plateau, is trying to change that association you have with the plateau feeling. So feelings like frustration, or just feeling like negative, feeling down on yourself. If you can start to get excited about those because progress is near, so you're kind of looking a little bit more ahead to the future. You're still focused on the day-to-day, but you're saying, like, you're seeing these emotions of frustration and you're feeling down, you're feeling upset, and it's like, okay, I recognize these emotions and I see this as like progress is coming. It's not today, but it's coming. I'm doing all the right things. It's coming soon. It can kind of get you through those tougher times, or at least just not even see them as tougher times. Just see it as part of the process and enjoy that day-to-day training, knowing that it's going to end soon enough and the results are going to be back pretty soon.
Yeah, Katrin and Ben talked about this at the comp train camp, is getting excited for the conflicts and the obstacles that they hit. If they can't do something, they're like, wow, like that's something new to work on. How cool is that? Rather than getting down on themselves and thinking like, oh crap, like so-and-so has a better, 15 consecutive muscle ups than we do, instead of like, all right, let's attack this. This is cool.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you embrace it, knowing that there's going to be plateaus and eventually like you'll overcome them, I think like kind of changing your mindset in the sense of looking at something else you're doing. So if you're really, really upset that you just can't get another pound on your back squat or a weightlifting movement, then think about, oh, okay, well, I did this workout yesterday and I did 15 toes to bar and I've never been able to do that many. So like you said, you are PRing or doing something better in different areas and aspects, but you have to remember that you can't get so focused on one thing that you just want so bad and it's not happening when there's other things around you like that, or double unders, stringing more double unders together, anything that's not necessarily like that weightlifting or whatever you're focusing on. Look at the other things that you're doing because something else will be getting better.
Yeah, I would think also just, is that a self-assessment, like I'm on a plateau? Is that even a true statement? Like, is that really what's going on, or is that just like something you're thinking because you had a bad workout? Like, did you meet with a coach and like talk to them about something going on? Have you felt this way for a while, or is it like a one-day thing? Did you just have a baby? Are you coming off of an injury? Like, there's so many things that we want to just put ourselves on a plateau or like put ourselves in a slump, more than just like understanding it as part of progress. Like progress, like you said, it's not this like linear straight line to the top. It's up and down and up and down. So I would just kind of like reflect on that. Like, is that really what's going on? And if you don't know, then talk to one of us.
Yeah, along those lines, I think one thing that's really important is once you get a year in, that's where tracking becomes really important, and taking notes, before and after workouts of tracking your times, because sometimes we forget what our PRs are, we forget how things felt, and just having the stats and the data to reference can make that really helpful as well. And then the one thing I wanted to bring up is I think a lot of people will say they're on a plateau, and they probably are on a true plateau, but they're not doing the things that they think they're doing. They stop showing up as often, they stop eating as clean, they stop focusing on the recovery, they stop doing a lot of the things that were getting them the progress, and they're close, like they're almost there, like they're coming 3 days a week instead of 4 or 5, but they aren't working as hard, and they're using that as an excuse to say they're on a plateau when really a lot has changed. So I think a plateau is a great time to do a self-assessment and say, am I doing everything to get better? And that might be the time to say, okay, I've been doing 3 days a week for the last year now. I think now's the time my body can handle 4 days a week. Or it might be the time to just bump up what you're doing a little bit more, put a little bit of time into nutrition or whatever it might be.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of refocusing your energy and saying like, yeah, I'm a weekend warrior. Like, that's just me, Well, do you want that PR or not? Like, because you might have to refocus your energy and put in the extra time to do that skill work after class or to change your nutrition or sleep or whatever it might be, because that is probably going to affect it. And I think what the best in this sport do, in any sport, is they're consistent with their training. So, like, they can narrow it down because they're controlling the inputs so they can see, like, how it's being affected. If you have like no consistency in your life and in your training, then it's really hard to tell.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's it. It's a nice short episode. Do you have anything else to add, Tony? You had a long list there.
I have something while you read. Educate yourself.
But don't miss this knowledge bomb that's about to be dropped.
I think, like you were talking about earlier, just to expect that something like this is going to happen. Like, you're not going to come in every day hitting amazing weights. I feel like in the first year we were talking about that you do, and then from then on, it just becomes part of your journey, and you have to be like hyper vigilant at one point about how things are making you feel. And it can come, like Andrew was saying, it can come from inconsistency, and it also can come from too much consistency. It can come from you're coming every day doing the same thing and not letting your body relax at all. And you're so focused on it, and maybe you're like, this would be my tendency. I'd be so focused on the fact that I'm on a plateau, that I want to work harder to get off of it, but not in the right way. Maybe I need like 3 days of like total rest and relaxation and a massage, and to like change up some of the nutritional things I'm doing outside of the gym, and maybe to just not be here. Or maybe I need to take my fitness outside and go for a paddleboard or go for a run on the beach or do something that kind of just hits the reset button so I can come back and be fresh in here. And I think that could be overlooked because there's so many things that we can do in here that can make ourselves better, and so many things that have to do with what we do in here that can make ourselves better. But also there's stuff that's totally disconnected that can actually give us a little bit of a reprieve and a reset. So when we do make it back in the doors, that we're ready and fresh to go.
Yeah.
Can I add one quote to that? It's an old Cherokee legend. No, I don't know where this came from, so I don't want to credit to the wrong thing, but there's a quote about, if you hit an oak tree in the same spot 1,000 times, you're going to bring that tree down. But if you go out and you try to hit 1,000 trees, you're not even going to make a dent in any of them. So, like, to Whitney's point, like, if you're just focused on everything and you're not focused on one single tree and you just keep hitting that tree, then you won't bring it down, you won't make that PR.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Overcome those plateaus. We know you can do it.
Get that dune buggy.